No matter where you're from, you'll instantly recognize the New York Times. That iconic design, the fonts, the layout, it's everywhere. Not just on newsstands, but in movies, ads, and even influencers' flat lays. It's not just a newspaper, it's basically an aesthetic. It's also the only paper that both sides hate. The left says it's too corporate. The right says it's too liberal. When everyone's mad at you, you're either doing something very wrong or very right. But don't let the elegant fonts and artsy headlines fool you. The Times can be ruthless. Back in 1971, they dropped the Pentagon Papers, exposing secret US files about the Vietnam War. The government tried to shut them up. The Times said, nope. That moment changed journalism forever. They basically redefined what news could be. But here's the real question. What hides behind that crisp paper? How do those savage stories and stylish letters actually come to life? Stick around. Today we're going inside how the New York Times newspaper is made. Part 1. From Pixels to Plates. It all begins not with paper, but with a digital file. Once editors and writers sign off on the final version of the day's issue, that file is sent straight to the printing plant. Here, each page is converted into something physical, a thin aluminum plate. Think of it like a mold that holds the image of a newspaper page. Each plate represents a single page, and to make one, the file is burned into the plate using lasers. But this can't just happen under regular light. The process takes place in a room glowing with soft yellow light, because regular white light could damage the delicate image. Once developed, the plates are sorted by section. Arts, metro, sports, business, each stacked in precise order. It's like a massive puzzle, and every plate has to end up in the exact right place later on. Or you might find a crossword puzzle printed inside the financial section. Most people assume all of this is automated, but nope. Workers still handle every plate by hand. Surprised? Drop your guess in the comments before you see what happens next. Part 2. The Paper Giants. Meanwhile, in another section of the plant, clamp trucks are rumbling across the floor, carrying enormous rolls of newsprint. Each roll is taller than a person, weighs about a ton, and stretches 10 miles long. Just one of these can make 30,000 newspapers. They're stored in a cavernous warehouse that looks like a paper forest. Towers of giant rolls stacked neatly in rows. When it's time to print, workers peel off the outer layer of paper by hand. The first few feet of each roll are usually dusty or damaged from transport, so they're stripped away and recycled. Only the perfect paper makes it to the press. Think about that next time you crumple a page. This stuff has been through a lot to reach you. Part 3. The Printing Press. Now for the real magic, where ink meets paper. The plates are attached by hand to the massive printing cylinders, lined up precisely so each color and image lands in perfect alignment. Every cylinder holds one of the 4 basic colors: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, that combine to create every shade you see in the paper. The ink itself flows through metal pipes, pumped from massive containers into the press. Each pipe carries a single color like arteries feeding the machine. When the press starts rolling, the whole building hums with vibration. One worker described it perfectly. The noise of the press running, it's like music. You can feel it in your chest. Would you rather work in a place this loud or never step inside one at all? Tell us in the comments. We might shout out your favorite answer in the next video. As the cylinders spin, ink transfers from the plate to a rubber blanket and then to the paper, one sheet after another. Thousands of copies fly through the press every minute, each one checked by workers for the tiniest imperfections. Alignment, color balance, registration, it all has to be perfect. Just a few thousandths of an inch off, and you'll see double lines or blurred photos. Most readers never notice these flaws, but the press crew does instantly. They'll stop the machine, adjust, and start again. That kind of precision takes years to master. Thankfully, the workers have seen these presses roar to life every night for decades. But in a place where 80,000 papers are printed every hour, even a few minutes of downtime can throw off the entire operation. If a press jams or a motor burns out, it isn't just a matter of inconvenience. It's a race against time. Trucks are scheduled down to the minute, and thousands of newspapers depend on every machine running perfectly. That's when the repair team steps in. Part 4. The Art of Repair. These machines aren't new. Most of the equipment in this plant dates back to the 1990s, and the presses themselves are over 20 years old. They're massive, temperamental, and built like mechanical beasts, and when one of them breaks, the entire plant feels it. In a world where most broken things get tossed out or replaced, the repairmen here still fix things the old-fashioned way. If something breaks, we don't throw it out, one mechanic says. We find the part, even if that means going on eBay. Sometimes they have to rebuild entire motors, replacing gears measured down to thousandths of an inch. A single misalignment can ruin thousands of papers in seconds. Keeping the presses running isn't just maintenance, it's part science, part art, and a lot of experience. When a problem hits mid-run, there's no time to think. You work like a maniac, another says. You've got 5 minutes to fix it before the whole operation goes down. Imagine balancing on a ladder, holding a 60-pound motor in one hand and tightening bolts with the other, while the press thunders nearby and the clock ticks toward deadline. That's a regular night here. Part 5. Quality control and delivery. It's now about 3 a.m. The presses are still thundering, but the air feels different. The end is near. Workers line the floor, checking papers as they rush down the conveyor belts. They measure column spacing with rulers the size of the page, making sure everything is in line. If the color looks off, they tweak the ink flow. If a page is slightly crooked, they adjust the plate. Each paper that passes inspection gets bundled, wrapped, and loaded onto waiting trucks. Every minute matters. With 80,000 copies printed per hour, even a 5-minute delay can mean hundreds of papers missed. Timing isn't just important here, it's graded. The plant tracks its truck arrivals daily, aiming for a perfect 100% on-time record. By the time you wake up, your copy of the New York Times has already traveled miles from this factory floor to your front door, folded, stacked, and checked by thousands of hands. Part 6. The Last Pressman. But behind all that precision, there's something bittersweet. The number of printing plants across the country is shrinking. The workers here, the machinists, pressmen, and repair experts, know they're part of a dying breed. They've seen co-workers retire, younger replacements struggle to learn decades of hard-earned knowledge, and parts become impossible to find. Yet, they keep showing up. I think the Times will be here another 15 years, one of them says. If you're going to work for a newspaper, this is the one to work for. They take pride in every copy that leaves the building. When I see someone reading the New York Times, there's a sense of pride, another worker says, because only a handful of people really know what it takes to make it. And maybe that's what makes this story so powerful. It's not just about ink and paper. It's about people who have dedicated their lives to keeping the presses rolling, night after night.